small power line contractors are protesting a decision by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, known as OSHA, to approve personal protective equipment, or PPE, for live line maintenance. The contractors contend that working on live power lines is inherently dangerous and that the only safe method is to shut them off. They fear that the approval of PPE may lead to utilities demanding live line maintenance, which they believe is unsafe. The contractors' concerns are valid. Working on live power lines is a high-risk activity, and even with PPE, the risk of injury or death remains. However, OSHA has carefully evaluated the PPE in question and determined that it meets the necessary safety standards. The agency believes that the PPE, when used properly, can effectively protect workers from electrical hazards. The decision to shut off power lines or perform live line maintenance is ultimately up to the utility companies. OSHA's approval of PPE does not mandate that utilities must use it. It is important to note that PPE is not a substitute for good work practices. Contractors must still follow proper procedures, including proper planning, training, and supervision to minimize risks. While the contractors' concerns are understandable, OSHA's approval of PPE does not diminish the importance of worker safety. Contractors must continue to use proper work practices and evaluate the risks of live line maintenance on a case-by-case basis. It is crucial to understand the inherent dangers involved in working with live power lines, even when utilizing personal protective equipment. Electricity, by its nature, poses significant risks to human health and safety, including the potential for severe burns, cardiac arrest, and even death. The primary objective in any electrical work environment should always be to minimize or eliminate these hazards wherever possible. The safest approach to working on power lines is undeniably to energize them, effectively shutting them off. This process, often referred to as lockout/tagout, involves disconnecting the power source and implementing measures to prevent accidental re-energization while work is being performed. By eliminating the electrical current, the risk of electric shock and arc flash is substantially reduced, creating a much safer environment for workers. However, there are situations where energizing power lines is not feasible or practical. This may be due to the need to maintain continuous power supply to critical infrastructure such as hospitals, emergency services, or large industrial facilities. In such cases, live line maintenance, also known as hotline work, may be considered as an alternative. Live line maintenance involves performing necessary repairs or maintenance on energized power lines while using specialized tools and techniques to minimize the risk of electrical contact. This type of work requires highly skilled and trained personnel who are proficient in the use of insulated equipment and follow strict safety protocols. Personal protective equipment plays a critical role in live line maintenance, providing an additional layer of protection for workers against electrical hazard. PPE commonly used in this type of work includes insulated gloves, sleeves, hard hats, and flame-resistant clothing. These items are designed to withstand high voltages and protect the worker from electric shock, arc flash, and burns. However, it is important to recognize that PPE is not a foolproof solution and should not be considered a substitute for safe work practices. The effectiveness of PPE depends on several factors, including the quality of the equipment, proper fit, and regular inspection and maintenance. Furthermore, PPE can only protect the areas of the body that it covers, leaving other areas vulnerable to electrical hazards. Therefore, it is essential to use PPE in conjunction with other safety measures, such as maintaining safe working distances from energized conductors and using insulated tools and equipment. OSHA's approval of PPE for live line maintenance is based on the agency's assessment that the equipment meets specific performance standards and provides a reasonable level of protection for workers. These standards typically address the electrical insulation properties, mechanical strength, and durability of the PPE. However, OSHA's approval does not guarantee that the PPE is completely risk-free or that it will prevent all injuries or fatalities. The ultimate responsibility for ensuring worker safety lies with the employer. Employers are required to conduct a thorough hazard assessment of the work environment, identify potential electrical hazards, and implement appropriate control measures to minimize the risks. This includes providing workers with the necessary training and equipment, as well as enforcing safe work practices. The decision to shut off power lines or perform live line maintenance should be made on a case-by-case basis, taking into account the specific circumstances of the job and the potential risks involved. Factors to consider include the voltage level of the power lines, the complexity of the work, the availability of qualified personnel, and the potential impact of a power outage on customers. In some cases, it may be possible to de-energize a section of the power line while maintaining power to other areas. This approach can reduce the risk to workers while minimizing the impact on customers. Alternatively, it may be necessary to schedule a complete power outage during off-peak hours to perform the work safely. It is important for contractors and utility companies to work together to develop comprehensive safety plans that address the specific hazards of live line maintenance. These plans should include detailed procedures for performing the work safely, as well as emergency response procedures in case of an accident. Regular safety meetings and training sessions should be conducted to ensure that all workers are familiar with the safety plans and procedures. In addition to OSHA regulations, many states and local jurisdictions have their own safety requirements for electrical work. Contractors should be aware of these requirements and ensure that they are in compliance. Failure to comply with safety regulations can result in fines, penalties, and even criminal charges in the event of a serious accident. The concerns raised by small power line contractors regarding the approval of PPE for live line maintenance are understandable. These contractors often work on smaller projects with limited resources and may have concerns about the cost and availability of appropriate PPE. They may also be concerned about the potential for pressure from utility companies to perform live line maintenance in order to save time and money. It is important for OSHA to address these concerns and provide clear guidance to contractors on how to comply with safety regulations. OSHA should also ensure that contractors have access to the resources they need to provide their workers with the necessary training and equipment. Ultimately, the goal of all safety efforts should be to create a work environment where electrical hazards are minimized and workers are protected from injury or death. This requires a commitment from employers, employees, and regulatory agencies to work together to promote safe work practices and ensure that all electrical work is performed in a safe and responsible manner. Electrical safety is a shared responsibility. Everyone involved in electrical work, from engineers and supervisors to electricians and apprentices, has a role to play in preventing accidents and ensuring a safe work environment. By following safe work practices, using appropriate PPE, and staying informed about the latest safety regulations, we can all contribute to a safer and more productive electrical industry. When considering personal protective equipment, it is vital to understand the standards and ratings associated with different types of equipment. For instance, insulated gloves are classified by voltage rating, indicating the maximum voltage they can safely withstand. Similarly, hard hats are tested to specific impact resistance standards to protect against head injuries. The selection of appropriate PPE should always be based on a thorough assessment of the potential hazards and the specific requirements of the task at hand. Furthermore, proper inspection and maintenance of PPE are crucial for ensuring its continued effectiveness. Insulated gloves, for example, should be regularly inspected for punctures, tears, or other damage that could compromise their insulating properties. Hard hats should be checked for cracks or dents that could reduce their ability to absorb impact. Any damaged or defective PPE should be immediately removed from service and replaced. In addition to PPE, other safety measures should be implemented to minimize the risk of electrical hazards. These may include the use of ground fault circuit interrupters or GFCIs to protect against electric shock, the use of insulated tools and equipment, and the implementation of lockout/tag-up procedures to prevent accidental re-energization of equipment. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to detect even small amounts of leakage current and quickly shut off the power to prevent electric shock. They are commonly used in areas where there is a high risk of electrical contact with water, such as bathrooms and kitchens. Insulated tools and equipment are designed with non-conductive materials to prevent electric current from flowing through the worker's body. These tools are typically used when working on or near energized electrical equipment. Lockout/tag-up procedures are used to prevent accidental re-energization of equipment during maintenance or repair. These procedures involve disconnecting the power source, locking the disconnect switch in the off position, and attaching a tag to the switch indicating that the equipment is being worked on. In addition to the technical aspects of electrical safety, it is also important to address the human factors that can contribute to accidents. These factors include fatigue, stress, complacency, and lack of communication. Fatigue can impair judgment and slow reaction time, increasing the risk of accidents. Stress can also affect judgment and decision-making, leading to errors. Complacency can lead to a disregard for safety procedures, increasing the risk of accidents. Lack of communication can result in misunderstandings and confusion, which can also lead to accidents. To address these human factors, employers should implement programs to promote worker health and well-being, provide adequate rest breaks, and encourage open communication among workers. They should also provide training on stress management and fatigue awareness. It is also important to foster a safety culture within the organization, where safety is valued and prioritized. This can be achieved by involving workers in safety planning, recognizing and rewarding safe behavior, and holding everyone accountable for safety. A strong safety culture can help to create a work environment where workers are more likely to follow safety procedures and report potential hazards. In addition to the specific hazards associated with live line maintenance, there are also general electrical safety hazards that workers should be aware of. These hazards include contact with overhead power lines, underground cables, and energized equipment. Contact with overhead power lines can result in serious injury or death. Workers should always be aware of the location of overhead power lines and maintain a safe distance from them. Underground cables can also pose a hazard if they are accidentally struck during excavation or digging. Workers should always call before digging to locate underground utilities and avoid damaging them. Contact with energized equipment can also result in electric shock or burns. Workers should always de-energize equipment before working on it and use appropriate PPE when working near energized equipment. Electrical safety is an ongoing process that requires continuous improvement. Employers should regularly review their safety programs and procedures to ensure that they are effective and up to date. They should also stay informed about the latest safety regulations and technologies. By investing in electrical safety, employers can protect their workers from injury or death, reduce the risk of accidents, and improve productivity. A well-trained and safety-conscious workforce is a valuable asset to any organization. Safety isn't just a set of rules, it's a mindset, a commitment to protecting ourselves and those around us. Every task, every decision should be approached with safety in mind. From the initial planning stages to the final execution, safety should be the guiding principle. This means taking the time to assess the risks, identify potential hazards, and implement appropriate control measures. It also means being prepared for the unexpected and having emergency response plans in place. When working with electricity, there is no room for complacency or shortcuts. Every precaution must be taken to ensure the safety of everyone involved. This requires a combination of knowledge, skill, and a strong commitment to safety. And while regulations and standards provide a framework for safety, it is ultimately up to each individual to take responsibility for their own safety and the safety of others. By fostering a safety culture, we can create a work environment where everyone feels empowered to speak up and report potential hazards. This open communication is essential for identifying and addressing safety concerns before they lead to accidents. In addition to reporting hazards, workers should also be encouraged to suggest improvements to safety procedures. This feedback can help to identify areas where safety can be enhanced to make the workplace even safer. Safety is not a destination, it's a journey. It requires a continuous effort to learn, adapt, and improve. By embracing a culture of continuous improvement, we can create a work environment where safety is always a top priority. And by working together, we can ensure that everyone goes home safe at the end of the day. From a regulatory standpoint, understanding the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is extremely important, especially regarding sections pertaining to safety requirements around power lines and electrical work. Specific tables and articles within the NEC address minimum clearances, grounding practices, and PPE requirements. For example, NEC Table 230.9 addresses clearances of service drop conductors over various areas. Article 250 covers grounding and bonding, which are essential for preventing electrical shock. Article 310 provides guidelines for conductor ampacity, ensuring that conductors are properly sized for the intended load to prevent overheating and potential fires. NEC Section 110.16 discusses arc flash hazard warnings. NEC 70E provides best practices for electrical safety in the workplace. NEC Table 400.5 and 400.5b cover allowable ampacities for flexible cords and cables. NEC 314 covers junction boxes and pull boxes. The importance of training cannot be overstated. All personnel involved in electrical work should receive comprehensive training on electrical safety, including the proper use of PPE, safe work practices, and emergency response procedures. Training should be conducted by qualified instructors and should be tailored to the specific tasks and hazards involved. Training should also be regularly updated to reflect changes in technology, regulations, and best practices. In addition to formal training, workers should also receive on-the-job training and mentoring. This can help them to develop the skills and experience they need to perform their jobs safely. Mentoring can also provide workers with a valuable source of support and guidance. And when it comes to performing live line maintenance, specialized training is absolutely essential. This training should cover the specific techniques and procedures used for working on energized power lines, as well as the potential hazards involved. Live line maintenance training should be conducted by experienced professionals and should include hands-on practice under simulated conditions. The use of specialized tools and equipment is also critical for performing live line maintenance safely. These tools are designed to provide insulation and isolation, preventing electrical contact with energized conductors. Common tools used in live line maintenance include hot sticks, rubber gloves, and insulated blankets. Hot sticks are long, insulated poles that are used to manipulate energized conductors from a safe distance. Rubber gloves are worn to provide insulation against electric shock. Insulated blankets are used to cover energized equipment and provide a safe working area. These tools should be regularly inspected and tested to ensure that they are in good working order. Any damaged or defective tools should be immediately removed from service and replaced. Safe work practices are also essential for performing live line maintenance safely. These practices include maintaining a safe distance from energized conductors, using insulated tools and equipment, and wearing appropriate PPE. Workers should also be aware of the potential for arc flash and take steps to protect themselves from this hazard. Arc flash is a sudden release of electrical energy that can cause serious burns, blindness, and even death. To protect against arc flash, workers should wear flame-resistant clothing and face shields. They should also use arc flash barriers to shield themselves from the energy release. It is also important to plan the work carefully before starting. This includes identifying potential hazards, developing a safe work plan, and communicating the plan to all workers involved. The work plan should include specific procedures for performing the work safely, as well as emergency response procedures in case of an accident. And when it comes to emergency response, it is crucial to have a well-defined plan in place. This plan should include procedures for rescuing injured workers, providing first aid, and contacting emergency services. Workers should be trained on the emergency response plan and should know what to do in the event of an accident. Regular drills should be conducted to ensure that the plan is effective. Additionally, incident reporting is a key component of a robust safety program. Any accidents, near misses, or unsafe conditions should be reported immediately. This allows for a thorough investigation to determine the root cause of the incident and implement corrective actions to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. Incident reports should be reviewed by safety professionals and management to identify trends and patterns. This information can be used to improve safety programs and procedures. Furthermore, regulatory compliance is an essential aspect of electrical safety. Employers are required to comply with all applicable federal, state, and local regulations. This includes OSHA regulations, as well as any industry-specific regulations. Failure to comply with these regulations can result in fines, penalties, and even criminal charges. Employers should stay informed about the latest regulations and ensure that their safety programs are up to date. They should also conduct regular audits to verify compliance. By adhering to regulations and implementing best practices, employers can demonstrate their commitment to safety and create a safer work environment for their employees.